it's actually funny. I remember as we were engaging with PDA, I had a friend, he's not a dentist, just a friend. And we were chit-chatting and he was asking me what we were doing. I was like, I'm about to engage with this new coaching aspect for the business. He's like, can't you just look that stuff up online? You can't just do it yourself? And I was like, well, I could, but that's a lot of work. And, I don't really know what I don't know. So I'd rather have someone help me along the way who can hold me accountable and help guide me to what they know has worked or, through their experiences versus just kind of like wing it.
You're busy, you've got a decent practice, but nobody wants to be decent. You want to be great, and you want to have a great practice. So how did the most productive, profitable dentist in the nation balance real life, work, and profits, and somehow make it all seem fun? Well, it comes down to simple, everyday practices. So grab a lunch, join us as we chat with top clinicians and influencers to discover their formula for uncommon success. Are you ready? Then it's time to explore everyday practices.
Hey everybody, it's Chad Johnson. Welcome to Everyday Practices. We are having too good of a time, so I think this is outtake number 13, which is not a lucky number, but nonetheless, I thought I'd reintroduce my co-host, Regan Robertson. Regan, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Big old smile on my face, Chad.
All right, and today we have Doctors Eddie and Dr. Rich Lee. Eddie and Rich, how are you guys doing today?
Great, good.
Excellent. And but why don't you tell the listeners where you guys practice and a little bit about yourselves?
Sure. We're located in Brooklyn, New York, in an area called Park Slope. We're basically brothers that run a multidisciplinary office.
So we're 8-chair, and about 1,800 square feet, right? Something like that. Yeah. We've been the office has been open for 4 years, and we've been with PDA for 2, and we just continue to watch it grow.
And in terms of multidisciplinary, Dr. Eddie is the general dentist. I'm the orthodontist. We have a pediatric dentist that's on board, as well as an oral surgeon, and we are actually taking on some more associates, hopefully in the near future.
Good for you. Very cool. Very cool. So, Regan, you've seen their stats and just how their business has been blossoming the last 4 years and stuff like that. Why don't you, share with the listeners a little bit to make them blush? They won't be able to see it on a podcast, but, these guys have really been killing it, Regan. I mean, what are their stats showing that they should be proud of?
Oh my gosh. Well, the joke of it is they're like a blooming onion, right? I mean, they have definitely blossomed, but the seriousness of it is you've been in practice for 4 years, right? And right now, I believe you're producing a little over $225K a month. And are both of you working 3 days a week or 4?
So actually, I work
3.5.
I work 3.5 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I work 3 days a week and an extra Saturday every other week. And Dr. Rich works 2 days a week and the Saturday every other week as well. We have a pediatric dentist who's here 1 day a week, and then the additional Saturday every other week. And we have a surgeon who's in once a week for a 6-hour shift. We have 2 full-time hygienists, and
that's the crew right now in terms of providers.
Yep.
So let's break this down a little bit. I know the team that has worked with you. I know our CEO Victoria Peterson has mentioned that you are 2 very forward-thinking doctors. In fact, what she said specifically is you 2 are forward-thinking doctors who are mastering the art of today's revenue with tomorrow's vision. And that's a big statement right there. So let's maybe deconstruct it. What would you say your leadership styles are individually, like Richard and Eddie? How would you describe yourselves?
Well, we definitely get our hands dirty. I feel like we're first to dive right in and be helpful. So we definitely show leadership by example. And then, I think our past kind of helps with leading a crew. So before dental school, I actually was a college DJ, and then I was a stock manager at the Gap for 1.5 years. And Dr. Rich was editor-in-chief of the high school yearbook, and actually worked as like the head of a production company for like a overseas magic show.
Oh, cool.
What?
So,
Yeah, I used to work in film and television for 2 years or so. It's so hazy now because it's such a long time, but I used to do film prior to anything dental. And it led to, or the height of it was, I used to be a producer on a magic TV show that was similar to David Blaine, but the magician was like a Swiss magician. So it was like the first magic show shot in HD and all that stuff. So yeah, like when Dr. Eddie was saying, I was like, yeah, that pretty much I think is where our styles or how we may differ from others in terms of management skill. Because our life experience outside, like I had to deal with like crews of people from a variety of backgrounds, and we're trying to manage a budget of like a few $100,000 per shoot, where it's like every dollar counts and like everything has to fit in the right order and everyone has to work together. And then even so too, I always tell people like, so during dental school too, I was like heavily involved with student government and like whatever. And I was chief resident, all that stuff. And it all came down to personality and people skills, like managing how people are with each other. So, you know, I didn't feel uncomfortable having a meeting with the deans of the school to talk about whatever we needed, whether it be like something as simple as like students wanted a new refrigerator in like the student lounge, or it was like we need to figure out what the curriculum is next year. It became a little bit like easier in that sense. So applying that to the actual office, it was good in that sense. Also, and another thing too, I would say, like, I think the way we talk to our team, like a lot of stuff that we focus on with them is like, how do you talk to people? How do you present yourself? And similarly so too, like when we talk to team, like I don't want to berate them. I want to present the information or, you know, give them criticism in the best way possible. And I think that comes from like, listen, like we have to deal with each other and this is the best, like, you know, again, how you talk is important.
And even with my experience at the Gap, you know, working for a large like conglomerate like that is where I first realized like systems are so important, because they have, you know, they're a nationwide company and they have to follow rules that encompass every state, and every state has their own, you know, labor laws or, you know, this, that, and the third. And so they have an all-encompassing policy so that it covers their butt on everything. And so just seeing their checks and balance systems and how they operate the store so that they deliver the same experience, no matter whether it's, you know, store 1, store 2, store 3, it really helped with how we talk to our team and how we view how things need to run.
Wow, how did you guys make the leap? So how did you make the leap and say both of you wanted to go into dentistry? Those are both very artistic endeavors. And I always do make the joke that dentists are teeth artists because you guys are artists.
I go inside a little more, but I will say basically I'm the second child, Eddie's the first. I saw Eddie doing something, and he basically, as I was trying to figure out what to do, you know, after the whole film stuff, you know, it was going to be something health related, but as I was figuring stuff out and he was in dental school, he really just said to me, like, you should just look into this really, like, this is probably going to fit you the best, which was a good step forward. And
so Eddie, were you at the time trying to just be philanthropic and help him out, or were you thinking of it and it crossed your mind that Rich was going to be good at that? Like, how did that go about in your mind?
So my story was like being an econ major out of college.
Wow.
And then working at the Gap, because I graduated college in 2002. So the economy wasn't really great at that time. Job market wasn't that great. We had both actually taken the majority of the science courses in college. So there was always a potential inkling in our minds that the health, medical, dental field was potentially an option, but we had other things that we were kind of sifting through first.
Yeah, so wild oats.
Yeah.
those feelings.
2 turntables and a microphone.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So after doing all that, it's kind of like I kind of realized I didn't like to be someone else's employee, and I felt like my story also has other things where like we always our parents had a retail store, so being entrepreneurs wasn't really like beyond us, and so after working for a little bit, I was like, all right, I need to be my own boss. And so I spoke to a friend of mine actually that was in dental school, and I was asking him some questions about it. And he's like, hey, best thing I can tell you is go shadow your family dentist and see how you like it, and then kind of move on from there. So that's actually what I did. I shadowed my family dentist. I really liked what I was seeing. We had that artistic side. Like I took 3 years of ceramics in college and sculpture and all that stuff too. So we had the hand skills, like in some levels, where the hand-eye coordination stuff. And so, I took his advice. I really liked what I saw. I liked it as a profession. I liked what he was doing. I liked the fact that at the end of the procedure, I actually accomplished something. So, that's what kind of brought me into dentistry.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure.
And especially as opposed to medicine, right? So not to like poop on medicine, but I didn't want to like manage someone's problem by just writing a prescription for pills. I wanted to actually have a sense of like, all right, this is now complete. We move on to the next project. And so while I was in dental school and I saw Rich kind of trying to find himself and sort through life, I knew that actually his artistic eye was better than mine. And like he was always like the better artist, whether it was like drawing or even sculpting or ceramics or all that kind of stuff. So when he was trying to decide what to do and he was tinkering between dental and medicine, I was like, you really need to consider dental, because unless you're going to be a surgeon within medicine, like, because he wanted to work with his hands, I was like, I think you really excel at dental. I should make him blush. What'd you get on the PAT? 29?
Oh my God, I don't even remember. Yeah, probably.
That's a score.
You got a 29 out of 30 on the PAT.
I don't even remember. I don't even know how to score it anymore. Whatever it was, I did well. I don't know.
Whatever the number was, I got 3 more than that.
There you go.
That's awesome.
You got a 32 out of 30? Chad, that's amazing.
No. I was being rich, not me. No, certainly not.
I don't remember what it was anymore. But it was
that's awesome. So hold on. So you guys had a ton of growth over the last few years. So how did coaching come about? That, like, was there a moment? Because that's what kind of happened for me. Like, was there a moment, or was it different for you guys that you were like, hey, Eddie, and you're like, hey, Rich, what? We need coaching. Or like, how did that come down? And then how has coaching mattered since then? Like, yeah.
Yeah, no. So when we opened the office, we knew a couple things that we knew we needed to do. I think one of the best things we did was we did take a course with a competitive consulting firm. And, but this course was more about like, how do you start up a practice? Like, talked about systems and things like that. So we had certain things in place and we knew certain things we wanted to do. And taking that course before opening the office or before even the construction phase was huge, because
basically everything we did had a purpose as opposed to being like, that looks good. Yeah, sure. Like, you want to put a chair here? Sure.
Yeah, because I think a big pitfall when a doc wants to open an office and they don't have experience is the person that they talk to about design is a dental supply company, and the job of a dental supply company is to sell you stuff.
Right.
So when you approach them and their first question is, well, what do you like? And they start drawing stuff out for you, and then they show it to you. I remember someone asking me, I think my mom asked me, she was like, oh, how does that look? I go, I guess it looks good, because it's pretty much exactly what I told them I wanted. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's, functional, or the flow works or whatever else. Cause like, who am I? I was an associate for a couple places, whatever else. I mean, basically being an associate at those other places, I knew what I didn't want, but I didn't really know, much beyond that. So we had this like kind of like roadmap, and we knew how to pretty much get butts in seats and kind of like fire up the whole thing. And I think based on our personalities and how we aesthetically set up the place with the systems in place really helped us shoot out the gate. I think it was like a year and a half. Yeah, it was like,
or whatever it was.
Well, 6 months in, we were seeing like 100 patients a month, new patients a month.
Yeah. Oh, that part, yeah.
And then we've actually seen pretty much 100 new patients a month ever since. It's even to this day. So we've continued to grow. I mean, there's some natural attrition in our neighborhood, so
sure.
That is. But when it came, and then about 18 months in, we kind of looked at each other and kind of what Chad said, but we kind of looked at each other like, all right, we've gotten to the point we knew we can get to. but we feel like something's missing.
Right. It started to feel like we were plateauing because like we knew everything had to start up, but we didn't know how to like get past that hump into like, all right, now how do we make it better? It was kind of like we did what we knew how to get people in, but it wasn't like, how do you make the business and the practice grow and be more efficient? Like we hit a plateau in a sense. Like we saw it coming. It wasn't like we had been stagnant for a while. It's like we were monitoring it, and then the way it was feeling and like the things that were coming in, we knew we had to make a change basically.
So had you heard people talk about Productive Dentist Academy, or like, did you guys do some online search? Like, how did you come about?
So actually, we knew about PDA from before we even opened, because the course we took prior,
They mentioned it.
They had mentioned it because someone asked.
I know who you guys went to.
Oh, I know who.
Of course, I knew from the beginning. I can hear.
But listen, we need to break away from that subject. So
Right.
Yeah. So they were asked the question of what other courses have you taken that you felt were worthwhile, and they did mention Productive Dentist Academy, and so Productive Dentist Academy was always on our radar, but we knew that the spot we were at fit for what we needed at that time.
Right on. And
as we grew, we recognized very quickly that we needed to find what the next step was. You know, it was actually funny. I remember as we were engaging with PDA, I had a friend, he's not a dentist, just a friend. And we were chit-chatting, and he was asking me what we were doing. I was like, oh, I'm about to engage with this new coaching aspect for the business. He's like, can't you just look that stuff up online? You can't just do it yourself? And I was like, well, I could, but that's a lot of work. And, you know, I don't really know what I don't know. So I'd rather have someone help me along the way who can hold me accountable and help guide me to, you know, what they know has worked, or, you know, through their experiences, versus just kind of like wing it and try to do my own research, because ain't nobody got time for that. So
Some people do feel like they have time for that, though.
I do not.
I love that you approached it so mathematically. Like it was really pragmatic of you as you started up. I remember doing a website for a doc like years ago, and I was fairly new to dentistry, and I did the research on the demographic, who we wanted to pull in, and so I came up with this very warm purple and kind of gold colored website, very much not what the doctor was into at all. And really got a lot of backlash. This is not me. This is not what I want. And I said, well, are you trying to attract yourself, or are you trying to attract this particular patient? And he said, well, that patient. And I said, well, then let's give it a shot, because this is what's going to do it. And it did. It was great. It was massively successful, which is fantastic. But it sounds to me like, in the similar way, like you don't want somebody just pandering to you and saying, it's not about what I like so much, but it's about what's been proven and what really works. So I feel like you probably do that in all aspects of your business.
Yeah, that's a great point, because one thing that we kind of pride ourselves on in terms of like how the office is set up is, you know, like much of my story before, like so much of like how dental offices are designed are because that's what the doc wanted, right? So like
it's good for them.
Yeah, like
yes.
the way the chair is, the hygiene is in a closet, like what, you know, all that kind of stuff, especially in New York City, especially, right? So it's like the doc has a giant master suite, and the two hygienists are shoved into closets where like the chair doesn't rotate. So heaven forbid you get a lefty hygienist. But anyways, for us, it's always been like, hey, when the patient is sitting in this chair, what do they see? What do they smell? What are they looking at? What kind of experience are we delivering? Because at the end of the day, I mean, we got a dentist up the block, we got a dentist down the block, 3 blocks away, there's a whole avenue full of dentists. Like, you know, how do we separate ourselves? And, you know, just other than just Google reviews or whatever it is, like what's going to deliver that experience? We look at it as an experience. Every time they walk in here, it's an experience. You know, it's not just dentistry.
Right. It's not like you're just doing a procedure on them and they go home. Because even and again, not to poop on medicine, but it is my turn. But ultimately, when you go to a doctor's office, similarly, like it's kind of crazy to me sometimes when you go to a doctor's office and you wait more than half an hour. And it's considered, that's normal. It's okay to wait at the doctor's office. But meanwhile, like I'm sure some doctor's offices also do strive not to do that, but a lot of dental offices strive not to have that wait time, not to have people like kind of hanging out. You're honoring their time because ultimately that's part of your experience there. But yeah, so like the minute you find a doctor's office that you waited, 0 time and they treat you nicely, you're like, this is amazing. We're gonna always go here. So it's similarly like it's basically how you want to be treated and what you're going to go through as the patient is pretty much driven how we've been running this so far.
So you're really looking at this as a whole journey. This is interesting. I thought in my head, these guys are geniuses as you're explaining this whole patient experience. So how internally you're making sure that the experience is whole, is really centered on them, really patient focused. Let's talk externally as well. How do you differentiate yourself when you've got a dentist up the road and down the road? What are you doing? I know you guys are really both artistically minded. So what kind of marketing do you like to engage in to kind of showcase that experience?
So the other group we worked with did mention that like you want to be the fastest to 100 Google reviews, and you really see like a significant spike, like in how your website is viewed or how your patients will see you. And then for us, we were like, all right, we need to get to 300 the fastest possible because you can't fake 300 reviews. And I think we have where are we at now? Like 315 or something like that. And it's all 5-star, or maybe there may be one star floating around somewhere, but we quickly realized that with something like Google reviews, you would just want it to be so obnoxious above your competitor that like you're pretty much like the only choice. And the more you have, the more authentic it can be, because you can fake 30, you can fake 50. It's hard to fake 100. It's pretty impossible to fake 300. And plus, if someone does have a negative experience, because that's bound to happen, you just flood that all out because you've got 299 other reviews that are going to just super outweigh it. So, but even from that point for marketing, and then we always, in terms of how we view like the artistic part of it, like we always use cool colors. So we don't want reds or oranges or yellows in any of our pieces. We always stick to our colors of like blue and green. We believe heavily, and we preach this to our team, that not only is the experience doesn't start when they walk in the door, the experience starts when they pick up the phone. Right. So we really preach that too. That is part of the experience, is every step from the second they call to the second they walk out the door is part of that experience. Including someone picking up the phone. Yeah. Not like, hi, this is a recording from Park Slope Dental. It's like someone needs to have that personal contact.
Yes. Dwayne Knapp, he's a brand master for Starbucks and Alaska Airlines and Essentia Water. I have his book. He lives here in our town, and that is the one thing he says: make sure that somebody picks up the phone as soon as they can, and that it's a real voice. I just looked up your Google reviews, by the way, guys, and everybody who's listening, Park Slope Dental Arts, Google it. And anybody, you can do this to your own office doctors, or take Park Slope, for example. You have so many reviews that Google will take keywords, key positive words, and they will group them together for you. So if you want to know what Park Slope Dental Arts experience is from an online perspective, look it up. And what I see here is 21 people say your practice is state of the art. They mention that you have TVs, you're informative, you're comfortable, you have a great waiting area, and you provide iPads.
No iPads at the moment.
Yeah, no iPads right now because of COVID, but yeah.
Don't tell Google.
COVID ruined everything.
Well, one of the things I think I noticed too in looking at your marketing efforts, and I know both of you have a really personalized touch in it, because you really pull your personality and your community's personality into what you do. And at PDA, we consistently preach authentic marketing over just a tactical marketing that you think you should do. It, to me, is what sets you apart. And as we're on the call today here, I know our listeners can't see us, but right behind Eddie and Richard is this gorgeous photograph. and you shared right before we started the interview that this is part of your neighborhood. And can you tell a story how you got this art in your practice?
Sure. So, how big is this thing? Oh, it's like 3 foot by 5 foot.
48 by 36.
What's up?
It might be like 5 by 3. I think it's 5 by 3. But basically, it's an arc that's in a part of Park Slope or close to Park Slope at the top of Prospect Park. That it's like basically a monument or like a landmark that's in the area that's very recognizable to Park Slope or anyone that's close by. What Dr. A was sharing before we started the interview, basically the photo is taken by a high school student that's part of a local like photo club. That he saw them taking photos outside of the office because our street is somewhat nice looking, so it's a good area to take photos. And he approached the teacher, asked them if there's some way we could contribute money towards their club, and then basically like have this piece from like commission a piece from a high school student. So that's where it basically originated from. It's like we basically wanted to have something where we are giving money towards a local club for kids, and then ultimately we have something to show off for it that's from someone in the area. But yeah, we basically try to design the office in very authentic Brooklyn stuff that we like. We also have these recyclable cardboard cutout like art pieces, I guess you could say, but it's basically from this company called Boundless Brooklyn that they basically take recycled cardboard and they make like water towers and like billboard signs, and they made this sign that used to be like a historic sign in Brooklyn as you pass on the highway. So we and they're a Brooklyn-based company and all that stuff. So we bought a few of their pieces, put it in our waiting area. There's a local artist that's a painter that we asked her if she could basically make like a collage of like some of her paintings that we could put up as well. It shows like some of her paintings are of like brownstones in Park Slope. It's like the Coney
Island parachute drop.
Yeah, the Ferris wheel, things like that. Easily recognizable things in Brooklyn from a Brooklyn artist. And that's kind of where it comes from.
Even our scent is from a essential oil company. That's
your scent. You have a scent.
We have a scent.
Is that
ours
personally?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, do you sell the Lee Brothers essential oils in your?
No. But we were looking for like, because we didn't want the office to smell like
like an office,
burnt tooth. So we have an essential oil like diffuser, and the one we stumbled upon was Brooklyn based, and it's like this grapefruit sea salt scent. So I don't even smell it anymore because we're here too much. But
Right.
I want some of that. That sounds amazing. Grapefruit sea salt.
it's from a poppy.
This has to be like your Gap background. Like that has to be
Right.
something that you got from that. It's part of the experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know it's a big thing so I've attended a lot of like ortho CE too, and there's a few doctors that talk about experience, and one of them, Dr. Graham, specifically talked about smell. That was a thing he talked about, and like everyone laughed. But he's saying like, listen, when you walk into, I already forgot what hotel it was. Like, let's say it's like you walk into
Like the W.
Yeah, the W.
Specific scent.
Like you walk into W, that hotel, that chain, every time you walk in, it smells exactly the same because they designed that scent for their hotel. So that this way you have that same experience every time you walk in. It's like that smell, you walk up to the counter, they offer you water, they welcome you to the hotel. Like it's all the same. So this way you know what you're getting when you go there.
They can't define it, that it's clove and that it's formal cresol and stuff like that. But they know kind of the dentist smell, and then you start associating that with negative thoughts. But if you have a positive smell, then, and in fact, I've talked about this book on the podcast before, but the Way of the Wolf, and Jordan Belfort talks about even just priming his success with a smell. And so when he's going in for a sale, he'll take a sniff of like, he has it in his pocket of that smell that he's basically Pavlovian, whatever, like he's, primed himself. So now he used to do it, after the sale, and now like blood, he smells that and he goes in at like a shark, and he's like, I'm going to, complete the sale because I've had that smell. So it's just cool stuff. Like this is like, he dedicates a whole chapter to, priming yourself in the smell. Cause he says, if you guys really want to know, I'll tell you how I sell. And this is how I do, like one of my sales stuff. And it's just, it's really cool that smell does play a big part.
So are we going to name this episode Sniffing
Smell
Our
what
Way to Success? With
Smell what the leaves are
Richard and
cooking. It looks like their internet froze. Look, guys, I don't know if you could tell. Sorry, your internet froze here. And it looks like you're looking at me like, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, we're back up again. That was funny because like I'm giving this punchline and I'm looking at you guys and you're like this.
Completely stone face.
Yeah, that's right. Like,
Yeah.
Okay, tough crowd. Well, guys, thanks for coming on today. I have a feeling that we'll have more follow-up questions as we get feedback from listeners, about your call, and hopefully people could find you on the mastermind. If they have any questions to run by you about the foundations class too. These guys are two good guys to bounce those ideas off of. And we're thankful that you guys were able to come on and talk about Park Slope and kind of how your history has helped make you into the best dentists, I guess the best entrepreneurs.
That's the good answer.
And
yes.
It really shows. It really does. It's like you guys kind of happened into dentistry and your great interpersonal skills has really made you successful. I actually think you guys would have been successful, just doing your own thing. It's just hopefully you shorten the curve by, attaching yourselves to some great mentors and coaches along the way that helped you get there.
Yeah, we always thought of it as a way of we want to run to the top as fast as possible and then coast up there. And so if that meant investing in coaching, investing in the office, investing in ourselves, we were willing to make that sacrifice just because we knew there was a bigger picture.
That's
the
right.
office, we're much bigger.
Yeah, and we're not young. We don't have time to play.
Victoria thinks I'm young.
Yeah.
I'm not that young.
All right. So here's our last question. And one of you can pick one and one of you has to pick the other. Reagan, Take it.
Ready, guys?
Sure.
Bacon or eggs?
Oh, get to choose.
Yes.
We're brothers, so we'll split each and share.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wah, wah. All right. So, hey, I have one follow-up last question. You guys have a third brother. Is he the black sheep that didn't become a doctor, or like what? Or is he like a neurosurgeon that's somewhere and he's retired and you guys are the black sheep? I mean, what's going on with brother?
He's a black sheep because he's a high school math teacher.
Oh, wow. All right.
No,
Hey, but you know what? Dentistry might be a thing for him in about 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, he's doing good work now. Ultimately, he's I think personality wise, it's a good fit for him. He loves to help.
that's awesome.
It's like a perfect fit for him.
Well, we on the internet and podcast, brother number 3. What's his name? Nick, we salute you. Way to be a good mentor and teacher and entrepreneur in your own right. I'm sure you're making a difference in America's future. So thanks, Nick.
oh, it's been such an honor to interview you two today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, have a good rest of the day. And everyone else, will look forward to seeing you back on Everyday Practices next week for our next podcast.
Bring your lunch or take us to the gym again next week to improve your everyday practices. Also, subscribe on iTunes, follow us on social media, and sign up for our email list. Now get out there and win with Everyday Practices.